Okay. Hello, Nancy.
Did you say hello?
Hello.
Oh, hello. Hi, Eva.
We're live now on the RoboCop Enhanced Reality Page. Welcome. This is the first live video ever with Officer Ann Lewis and with a RoboCop celebrity. How are you doing today, Nancy?
Well, I'm really good. Thank you. Busy, with life, with everything. But I'm happy to be here. This is a nice part of my day.
Okay, good.
Nice to see you.
Oh, nice to see you too. Let me see. I would like to know if there are comments yet, because I have some questions in advance that the fans sent, but right now, I mean, we're cool. I would like to open with a question, a question that I think all celebrities now are being asked. And I would like to know personally what you thought about the last Oscars incident, because when some of your favorite movies came out, all this craziness of the social media, didn't exist. So there was more discretion about the lives of artists. I would like to know what you think about that.
Well, I think, it was a really shocking and unfortunate incident. It was just stunning. The Oscars, have always been, since I was a child, it was like our royalty, American royalty with the movie stars, and of course the Oscars was the pinnacle where you got to see everybody dressed up and looking beautiful and excited about talking about their films. But it's very different now, because we do see a lot of people. There's really very little mystery left to anyone's life these days. Of course, most people do share things on social media, and I think to some degree it's expected of them to share certain things and to have a following on social media to promote. But to me, it's always really less is more. You can tell people enough. You don't have to. Anyway, even some of the things that were said on the red carpet, I just thought, really? I mean, honestly, this is how we talk now. We just say these stupid things that we would say to our friend, but we would never say necessarily in public, let alone on the red carpet at the Oscars, So it was disappointing all the way around. And from what I heard, most people were kind of disappointed with the movies this year. And I think I enjoyed some of them because I love movies. But yeah, I would say it was a disappointing year, and ending in a huge sadness and disappointing thing sad for Chris Rock and Will Smith, who's been such an incredible actor. And here he is after all these years of being nominated, finally getting the award. And this incident took over everything. It sort of
overshadowed everything.
Everything and everyone. It's all that's the only takeaway from the Oscars.
Okay. Well, yeah, I completely agree with you. It was shocking, and it's very surprising to see how they have no boundaries on the things they say now publicly, not only on the Oscars, but in general, social media or whatever, artists. And you come from a generation in which there was, I think, more respect or more privacy. I don't know.
Certainly less is more. And it wasn't necessarily what you said, what you didn't say. And, many actors of my generation and directors chose not to do any public interviews, none of the television shows. And, it was keeping that mystique, about them, so that they could play roles. And it was easy for the audience to transcend their persona and just get really into that character. But yeah, I don't know. It's really strange to me. Now. I don't get it, but I'm old.
You're not. You look ageless. It's amazing how when I got to see you in Hollywood, I was like, I was so happy to see your beautiful face, everything, and not a modified sort of mannequin like some actresses that are hardly recognizable now.
Yes.
So to start into the whole Q&A topic, which is about Nancy and Nancy only, I would like the first question to be a general question that the fans have for you, that we all have agreed to ask you. We want to know more about it. Last year, when you appeared in the movies that made us with Brian Weiss, which I'm very grateful to him, and I'm very grateful to you. That was my first Netflix credit. I was alongside you and Ed, and I love you, my Robo Loves Forever. I think that after that show came out, that episode, everybody wanted to know or wanted to see more about you. And this is why I asked you to come live here on my page, because fans started asking me questions if you were going to go on Netflix on a different show now, or TV series or whatever. In the past, you have told me that you prefer films than TV, but that was like a few years back, and now TV has evolved into something that is TV on demand, which is streaming, and people choose what to watch. And I think that Netflix, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime now are like a merge between cinema and TV. So all of us want to know if, besides Brian, there are other opportunities coming for you, or if you would take opportunities from new directors that probably were your fans when growing up and would like to drag you into this new system of entertainment that, well, many iconic figures from the 80s and 90s are joining now. And even Sandra Bullock said that if it wasn't for Netflix, many actors wouldn't have a job now. So would you consider going back to Netflix, for example?
Well, you know, everything has changed in this business. And I think in a way for the good, it's having more platforms, having more opportunities to do work. And I love some of what I'm seeing, you know, the, you know, limited series and the movies. So movies and limited series that we are watching on our own screen in our own time, which is kind of fun to be able to do that. I do love movie theaters, although I haven't been in one since the pandemic. But, you know, the thing for me, it's always been about what is the script, first of all? Is it a good script? Because it doesn't matter if it's a good director or another great actor to work with. If you don't start with a good script,
right,
you don't have anything. So
and this is why we love Ed and Michael.
yeah. So if I read something, is it interesting to me? Then who's attached to it? Because generally I will see something when someone's usually attached, at least a director, to it. And it's exciting. I think it's really exciting what's happened in the business in terms of, because you have some of the greatest talent now working in these other platforms. So, you know, they're giving the studios a run for their money, so to speak.
Did you watch Don't Look Up? Sorry that I interrupt you. Don't Look Up with Meryl Streep. Did you watch it? It was awesome. And then you see, I mean, someone like Meryl Streep has joined the Netflix party fest. So I think all of us would love to see you there. I think there's a phenomenon, and this is something I always want to talk to you about, and then we end up talking about cats and other stuff. But here's a phenomenon that is happening to iconic figures like you that had the highlights of their careers in the 80s and 90s. It's funny how RoboCop, for example, was not meant for kids, but it was kids, the ones that start following you, all of you, actors, directors, writers, and now we have become old. We have become people that are creators ourselves. And I think that now with the communications, with all the technology advances, we know that we can drag you along. And I think that we can do everything that we couldn't when we were growing up. Like you used to dream, like, I would love to do something for Peter Weller. I would love to do something for Robert Burke, for Nancy Allen. In my case, well, it was only you, but I know that, for example, I don't know if you know who Dan Harmon is, the creator of Rick and Morty. Yeah. He, for a while, wanted to have Ed Neumeyer in his staff of writers. Not sure what happened there, but at least he was there in a live show, a very fun interview. But that's just what is happening now. And I think that Brian just showed you that a longtime RoboCop fan is now someone with power. He's now become a director. And now you are there. I don't know, you're like a treasure for all those new writers, directors, producers that would love to have you in their projects. So what does it make you feel that all the kids that used to cheer for Anne Lewis are now people like all of them, and I will include myself even if I'm just an independent writer, but that we're trying to bring you back into the spotlight because we haven't forgotten about the long time love we felt for you.
Well, I think, I mean, obviously I'm very flattered, and I mean, it's always surprising to me, nicely surprising, that movies that I made, in fact, RoboCop was a relatively low budget film, Carrie, relatively very low budget film, and, you know, Dress to Kill, Blowout, the films that, you know, just, it's films that people wouldn't know, you have no way of knowing that 30 years, 40 years later, it's going to be the 35th anniversary of RoboCop this summer, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. And, you know, I don't know who would have thought that we'd still be talking about it, but of course, it's exciting to me that, you know, younger people who are now coming up would look at me and say, oh, I'd love to work with Nancy. And, you know, because working with new talent, I think is always very exciting. This is, we look to our youth to do it better, do it differently, to tell their story in their way. I'm very excited, I must say, taking myself over here. What's very exciting to me to see these days is that the, I'm going to say specifically actresses, not just actors, because actors have always had their foot in the door, so to speak, but these women, these young women who get, you know, their first film and it's successful, they get a production company, they start developing things, they become producers. They are the masters of their destiny. And wow. In my day, we had to wait to be wanted. Or if we heard about something, ask to be seen. These gals today are creating their destiny. They're creating the work. And I just, it's like, I find that very exciting, you know, so they do have some power, and, you know, with power, of course, comes responsibility, but they seem to be doing it pretty well, you know, so I get a little envious. I'm thinking, gosh, I wish we had had that opportunity way back when, you know. I tried at some point to start developing projects, but it just wasn't meant to be, and everything evolves, you know, life evolves, films evolve, everything keeps evolving and changing. So it's an exciting time, I think.
And I know that it's sad that you didn't have, I mean, it's awful for me as a female fan of yours and you know, other actresses such as Sigourney Weaver, Linda Hamilton. I grew up watching you like tough women in action films, sci-fi films. And then you grew up and you realize everything you girls had to deal with back in the days when there was a lot of red tape about discrimination, about, you know, all the awful things, sexual harassment that you had to, you know, dodge and try to evade and continue a career that wouldn't be affected because you said no to this important producer or whatever. But if this comforts you, all of you ladies were pioneers, and now you broke through. I mean, it is because of you that now all those talented girls that you're talking about that are becoming producers, directors, writers are there because they got the inspiration from the women that were opening way for them. So I guess that was your destiny. I mean, to break paradigms. And Lewis broke paradigms back in 1987.
Well, I broke my own paradigm with that.
I know. Because before that, I mean, as talented as you were being wasted because you were offered roles in which you look pretty, but you didn't really show how tough or intelligent you could be. This is why I like Dress to Kill, because Liz Blake, I think it's the opposite of Lewis, but at the same time, they are so similar because she's a go-getter and she's so intelligent and she's the one that resolves everything in the end. I mean, but she's on the side of, you know, she's a hooker, and then Anne Lewis is on the law side. She fights against drugs and has RoboCop as a partner. But then it was great to see you in interesting, smart roles, and that hasn't changed, even though you are now more of a public figure than actress because of your work at WeSpark. I think that that hasn't ended for you because you're here, you look great. And as I said, I'm sure there are a lot of important people now that new directors, producers that have a new mindset that would love to work with you. So you broke paradigms, Nancy.
Well, you know, as you heard, one of my funniest moments, I never told the story before, but as I'm thinking about this now, and I think about those early roles, I was always either in some form of undress or some sort of sexualized aspect of the character. And the lingerie scenes, there were a few of them. And the funny thing is, I told the story that, you know, I was working with my acting coach, and she said, you know, you got to toughen it up. And I was wearing, just as I was rehearsing, men's underwear in my costume. So I thought, you know, it's kind of ironic that, in a way, an item of clothing. And it's funny because when you do get into your war, it all works to help support your character, and it makes you feel a certain way. I just thought of that as like, okay, now I'm sexy, now I'm not sexy, now I'm wearing men's underwear because I'm going to get tough, as if that's going to make me tough. But it's funny, it does change how you feel.
But it's funny because many years later, I got to read that you didn't want to get into the muddy pit at the very end of RoboCop because you didn't want the suit to inflate and you didn't want to look overweight.
I didn't mind getting into the muddy water, and disgusting water that was there, freezing cold. It was rusty water. It was unhealthful. I didn't want to put a wetsuit on to protect myself because I didn't want to look bloated and fat in it. And I thought, I went in there and got out and I went, are you out of your mind? Where's that wetsuit? Bring it over here.
And I thought, when I was a kid, I remember, you know, browsing the back of the VHS. I grew up, I'm the generation of VHS. And the back of the box of RoboCop 1, and there was a picture of Anne Lewis, you know, in the muddy pit with the Cobra assault cannon. And I used to think, oh my God, she's so pretty, even in that, you know, even if she's wounded, she's in the muddy pit. And I really wanted that picture, you know, in high resolution. So when I read that as an adult, that was incredibly funny because, you know, you didn't know that your fans were going to say, oh, Anne Lewis, she looks so cute in the muddy pit. Anyway, I know that you have your time is precious and you're always very busy. Let's start with the questions of the fans, unless you want to share anything else, something else with us.
No, I'm happy. I'm just happy to be here with you and answer any questions.
Let me, well, the fans that were, the ones that sent the questions in advance are the ones that will have priority. Let's see. Well, I have a question from, you have fans in France. They're crazy about you. Mm-hmm. And in Europe in general, I mean, RoboCop was big. So I have a question from Fabrice Duchamp and Alex Miku. Alex is from Romania and Fabrice is from France, but they have the same question. So here it goes. I know more or less what the answer is going to be, but we want to hear it from you. What do you think about the 2014 remake, RoboCop remake?
Well, generally speaking, I don't like remakes because I think that the original, certainly in this case, the original film was the real thing and the best thing. And the remake, they spent, I think our film costs like 11 million or 14 million or some ridiculously low amount of money. And you had great talent, a great script, and a lot of passion, and certainly incredible chemistry with the cast, all of the cast. And it was like really lightning in a bottle. And with the second one, you have a lot of great actors. Basically, what the studio did was they had the title, they threw a lot of money at it and spent $100 million, hired all great, competent people, but it doesn't make a good movie, you know. And I don't know anyone who saw it that spoke to me that really liked it. So I was invited. I chose not to go because I just, you know, I don't know. I don't believe in remakes. If you're going to remake something, pick something that almost but didn't quite work, and then go fix it and make it better. That's all.
Okay, cool. Another question from the same fans is, would you shoot another RoboCop? And this is like a very controversial question because we were all like, you know, very fighting against each other with the news of RoboCop Returns, and then nothing really came out, but they're still asking that. Would you shoot a new RoboCop if things get in alignment with the cosmos and the stars, that like Ed says, for a new film? Would you?
Well, I would if it was a good script, if there was a good director. You know, first again, it's like I go back to, how's the script? I have to read the script. What are we doing? What is this character doing? Does the whole piece work? If it's a good script, sure, why wouldn't I? You know, I wouldn't see why I wouldn't.
Okay. Yeah, I think that, you know, that you know, it's a topic that, you know, hurts me so deeply. I would probably skip on that and not say much about it. I have another question. I'm here signing in from another browser to be able to see them. Chris Go is asking if in Poltergeist 3, was Nancy still with a bit of Officer Lewis hair, but growing it out? I guess that what he means, if there was a bit of Anne Lewis in Pat Garner in
yes, the hair was growing in the growing out stage. Yes, it was.
Because it's from 1988, right? It's from 1988, Poltergeist 3.
Yeah, I don't remember what year, but it was right after
RoboCop 1.
Right after RoboCop. So RoboCop came out in over the summer here, and then I was shooting that the next spring. So the hair was, I had to keep, instead of just letting go, I had to keep trimming it so that it would get some kind of shape to it. So yeah, that's what was going on. Very astute observation.
Okay, cool.
I didn't say this, but hello to my fans in France. I love France. I made a movie in Paris, and it was
really
one of the best experiences of my life.
Which one was it?
Pardon?
Which movie did you shoot in France?
It was not released in America. It was called, oh my God, am I going to blank on the name? I just had the name in my mind. Eric Rochant.
Not for publication, wasn't that the one?
No. That was an American film. This was really a great movie, and really a great film. And he's a great director. That's the only time in my career that I met a director. He was casting. He was only in Los Angeles for a short period of time, and he was meeting actors in the lobby. They had an area set up at the Chateau Marmont Hotel, and I met him. And there really wasn't a script. I mean, the script was like really thick, and he had pieces and parts, and he had a interpreter there. So we were speaking, and he was telling me about the film, and I left there, and I knew, I didn't really know that much about the film, but I knew he was a great director. I could just sense it from his passion about what he was talking about. And it's the only time I've ever done it. I called my agent. I said, don't let him leave town. I have to see him one more time before he goes. I definitely wanted to work with him. So anyway, what's bad about shooting a movie in Paris? Nothing, especially if it's a good one.
Oh, that's a shame. So it wasn't broadcasted here in America, the continent?
No, it wasn't. They did screen it here. Now, I cannot believe I'm just completely blanking on the name of this movie, but it was based on a true story. And, you know, it really was a wonderful film. It is a wonderful film.
You can.
If I think of the name of it, I'm going to let you know, and you can tell everybody.
Yeah, that's right. And actually, I mean, taking a bit of advantage of your goodwill. I mean, perhaps in a near future, you can come back for another live video. We hope this is not the last one, because the fans keep banging, and I don't know what to tell them anymore when they say, well, Nancy this, Nancy the other, and I'll say, okay, I'll bring you Nancy, so you directly ask her questions. I'm not distracted. It's just that I have questions on WhatsApp. I have questions on Facebook. I have questions on my email address. I should have put all of them together in a notebook in advance. I apologize for that. So my friend Chris from New York, he's a video producer. He has been very helpful with my writing career. Chris Oglio. He's asking if what was your favorite moment to film in RoboCop?
That's a good question.
It is.
Well, I mean, it's hard to choose. It's really hard to choose because every moment on that film, I was very happy because I loved being there. I loved the people I was working with. I mean, I can pick a lot of scenes, but the scene, they call it the third act face, where he takes off the helmet, even though there's not a lot of dialogue for me there. It was a very emotional scene. Even being there, it was very emotional. Yeah. So we had shot the movie, and it was really at the end. And I just love that scene. It's very powerful, I think. So was that the most fun? It wasn't, but it was, from an emotional standpoint, it was very powerful. Certainly, I love driving cars. So I got to drive the car pretty fast. That was fun. Driving with Peter when in the beginning of the movie before he's shot, and the director Paul Verhoeven, they had the stunt driver in. He says, "I'll put Nancy in. She's driving faster than the stunt person." So that was pretty funny.
I remember you telling me that Verhoeven thought that you were a better driver than the stunt people. I mean, he's a feminist. I love him. He's a feminist. I mean, he's pro.
So anyway, the movie is called The Patriots, or in France, it's Les Patriots. So that's the name of it.
Okay, cool.
I don't know if you can find it anywhere, but it's a very good movie.
Okay. Let me see if I have more. I have more questions. Did anyone keep Persot, another fan is asking, did anyone keep any of the Taurus police cars used in the RoboCop films?
Did they what?
Did anyone get to keep the cars in the
cars?
The patrol cars?
No, not that I know.
What happened with the patrol cars in RoboCop, in the RoboCop films? That's what he wants to know.
I don't think so. And they drove terribly, by the way. The movie made it look much better than they were. They were very sluggish.
Okay. Well, this is a very interesting question from a fan, Ross Fox. He says, in the original Dawn of the Dead, the casting is credited to Nancy Allen. Was this you or someone else with the same name? Dawn of the Dead.
No, I know nothing about this movie. Nothing.
So it was someone, a namesake, someone with.
Well, I mean, they can't be in the same union. They can't have the same name unless they were a crew or another. They couldn't be an actor if they're in the union. They would have to be, Nancy A. Allen or Nancy something. You can't be the same Nancy Allen. I'm just curious now. I have my IMDb open. And so in the original Dawn of the Dead, that's interesting. I don't know.
Then my friend Bas Ducourt, here's a funny story. I sold to him a Louis jumpsuit that I had when I was younger, and my mother kept telling me, why do you have a used uniform from an actress that doesn't even know that you exist? And now she regrets that. So I didn't really have where to put it, and I sold it to this good friend of mine from the Netherlands, and now he's asking me if you have any props that you kept from the RoboCop films, any Lewis things that you were allowed to keep.
No, there really weren't. I mean, the only prop I had was the gun, and they certainly weren't going to let me keep that. Other than that, there really were no other props.
Okay.
That I handled, you know what I mean? I mean, that's just the way it was. So no, sadly, there are no mementos from that.
You weren't allowed to keep anything? I would have stolen something from the film and kept it.
Oh, well, you know, it's so funny how that is. In a way, I look back, I'm looking at all my career, and there are things that, you know, things that I don't have that I wish that I would have held on to. But a lot of times, by the time you get to the end of the movie, you're so tired, all you want to do is go home. You know, you're not even thinking about it. But some people are really smart. They manage to hold on to things. I have a few scripts that from films. I might even have the original RoboCop script. I think I maybe have it back there. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't have anything that's precious, as they say.
Oh, that's a shame. There is another fan that had asked me personally, and he's asking again, Ori March. He's asking, will Nancy have a website for us fans to send in items for Nancy to sign? So that's
we
the
are
topic
getting
of
there, we are, in spite of me, it's happening.
In spite of you, yeah, and it has been like more me doing this and Nancy, we have a website sort of thing, and then I go like, okay, I should leave her alone until she has time.
We're getting there. We will get there, right, Eva? It's happening.
It is happening.
Any of the fans, anybody out there, you can thank Eva for being your spokesperson here with me and making me perform.
It's funny because sometimes I go like, okay, I'm putting a lot of pressure on Nancy, but then I go like, if I don't have you, I mean, I cannot do things on my own. I can just go to a certain level or things, and I go like, okay, I just put pictures or whatever, but I need Nancy's feedback. So yes, the website is happening, and I have to send my regards to my friend Memo Gutierrez here in from the agency Red Latitude. He's the one that is making it possible. He's my associate producer for many of my projects, and so he's the one that is hosting the website. So yeah, expect it to be live in I don't know, a couple of weeks from now. You're gonna send me material, and I think that the main purpose of it is that I get asked a lot, where can I buy Nancy Allen autograph? And it's not only RoboCop, it's Carrie, Blowout, Dress to Kill. I read someone saying that he would like to have a Dress to Kill poster. So it's like, there is not really a venue, there is not really a source in which they can get signed, you know, items of photos directly from you. So I think that's why the idea of the website was born.
Well, that's good. I mean, I don't have, excuse me, I don't have merchandise to sell, but if somebody has something, we could certainly arrange for me to sign it. So, I mean, that's right now how it is. Okay. I'm actually doing a show this weekend.
Oh.
Where I will meet fans and sign memorabilia for them. And I think what I'll do is I have an agent for those shows, and perhaps, I don't know what the answer will be. He can find some things that I could have and at least have available to, you know, sign and send out.
Okay. We're running out of time. You let me know how many more minutes you can stay with us. Or
well, I think, I mean, we could do another, you know, couple of questions for sure. Okay.
Let me scroll down and see who else has been sending. Oh,
and we can do it again sometime if we have to, you know.
Okay, we appreciate that. Yeah. So Steve Uriz, which is a friend of mine, he said, who's a better driver, Nancy Allen or Peter Weller?
Well, I suppose it depends on who you ask, isn't it? Maybe you should ask Paul Verhoeven.
We should ask Paul. It would be great to hear directly from Paul what he thought. But it was pretty amazing to realize and funny at the same time that, you know, the scenes where Peter Weller is, you know, driving like RoboCop, fighting crime, and we all kids were like, he's fighting crime. He has no pants.
No, no, because he couldn't sit in the costume. So he had, you know, either tights or some kind of tights or pants on. It's kind of funny.
Was it the same thing for Robert Burke? He had to do the same thing when he was sitting down in the patrol car with you?
Well, I would think so, because he had to wear Peter's costume, which I felt really sorry for him, because it was molded to Peter's body. So you can only imagine you have to wear something that they can squeeze you into that's molded to someone's body. He really suffered. You know, I applaud him because he didn't complain ever. He's such a professional. But I would imagine, yeah, he probably had to, you know, get in there with some tights too.
So it was Robo in tights fighting crime. I have another question from Tyler Barstow. He says, how did you feel about having masculine hair in the original to more feminine hair in the sequel? Was there a blossoming of Detective Lewis between the films? And that's something that I loved when I was a kid.
Wait, say that one more time so I can hear it right. How did I feel?
Sorry. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
He said, how did you feel about having masculine hair in the original film, RoboCop, to more feminine hair in the sequel or sequels? Was there a blossoming of Detective Lewis between the films? I mean, was it your choice? How did you feel about Lewis having her hair growing?
Well, you know, there really wasn't much of a plan. That's the crazy thing about the hair, you know, the hair shenanigans, as they say. It started out with, my hair was about down to here, just about to my collarbone. And Paul said, well, you know, you have to cut your hair. Now in the original script, it said Lewis takes off her helmet and her hair cascades down.
And Ed used that, sorry that I interrupt you, Ed used that idea that he couldn't use with Lewis. He did it with Carmen Ibanez in Starship Troopers. I mean, that you see an officer and then you see like a helmet. And, you know, when this officer takes off the helmet, you realize it's a lady. I mean, so he used that idea in the end. But Verhoeven, I know, was the one that ordered, you know, was the one that said, I cut the hair short.
When I read it and I started thinking about the character, I really thought about cutting my hair because I didn't want it to be. I wanted to really escape the image that I had. And it felt like the right thing to, and I didn't know what the hair would be, but I knew it wasn't going to be, you know, the way I had been wearing it for other films. So when he said, you know, you need to cut your hair, and I said, that's fine. I'm totally fine with that. So first it was from here, I went to about here.
So it was your idea.
Again, and then I cut it again, and then I cut it again. So there were about, and then I got to Dallas, which is where we were shooting it. I cut it again, and then again. So there were about 4 different hairdressers.
Oh my God.
8 different haircuts to end up with no hairstyle whatsoever. I would rather have had just a really cute, short haircut than what I ended up with. But yeah, by the time we got to the second one, it was a little bit less severe for sure. It was more of a hairstyle. And I think I did think I wanted her to be a little bit different, maybe embracing, this is just really what was going on with me, a little bit more embracing her feminine side, as that she didn't have to be completely neutral in her appearance.
I love that.
I wanted to make sure that there was no sexuality between the 2 characters. And yet I do think there was such a great love without that being present. And in my opinion, I think she was in love with him. I do believe that Anne was in love with him. And so anyway, so truth be told, by the time I got to the third one, I was just so disgusted with what happened on the second one. I absolutely said, I will not be cutting my hair. No one offered to get me a wig. I would have worn a wig. And I just, because I thought, no, you know, the hair is not going to signify whether she's tough or not tough or strong or competent at her job. And I'm not going to compromise at this point because I felt taken advantage of. So that's the full story behind that.
And let's address something, because I have been fighting against this awful urban legend that says or tells that you asked Anne Lewis to be killed in the third film. I didn't know you at the time when I read that online. And deep in my heart, deep in my cybernetic heart, I knew that you wouldn't ask for that. And I remember thinking, no, Nancy Allen surely loves Lewis from what I have read in interviews. She would never ask for her character to be eliminated. But there are still fans that, you know, keep repeating the same, I want to say, sorry, stupid thing that you asked your character to be killed off because Peter Weller was not going to be there. That was Fred Dekker, and that was the craziness of Frank Miller. And one of the things that I promised myself, and you know that when I was a kid, is like, I'm going to bring Lewis back in one way or another, at least in my own oasis of my group and my page and my fan fiction. Lewis has remained alive. So we want to hear it from you, so people stop talking about this old urban legend that is almost 20 years old.
Well, when, you already know this, but when they approached me with the second one, it was a different script with a different director, which I was very excited about working with. That changed. It turned into a not very good experience and a massacring of the role that I originally agreed to play. So by the time they got to the third one, and I don't remember who contacted me, I thought, I don't know. I don't know if I've got another one in me. And then I thought about it, and I thought about, there were so many fans, so many letters that I'd received. I thought, well, whatever happens, I want to complete this cycle. I want
Thank you for doing that.
Because it wasn't a sequel deal. You know what I'm saying? They didn't sign on, and there was going to be so many sequels. Nobody knew this. So the morning I was going to, they said, well, we want you to meet Fred Dekker, and who's the director. So I went to meet him, went to have breakfast with him. And as I was driving there, I remember thinking, they're going to kill her. I knew it. It's like I intuitively knew. And I sat there and I just listened to him talking, and he's sort of telling this tale about this character. And I thought, oh, I see. He's leading up to, he's trying to paint this into a very nice picture. And as you saw, they eliminated Ed O'Hurley, played the old man, and and they changed. They thought they could change everybody and take everybody away, and not wait for Peter. And just, it didn't matter. They had this title that would carry them through. Well, they certainly found out that it should never have been a PG-13 film. I mean, it just shouldn't have been. It's not what RoboCop was. And Fred said, he says, well, I guess we made a mistake. Well, too little, too late, buddy, as far as I'm concerned. And I just was glad. I thought I was able to go back and do Anne and bring what I could bring to the film. I was limited because of what was, on the page, but at least I completed that cycle. So I did feel good about that. I just wish I could have had some input.
Because we have footage of Lewis in the third one. I love watching the first part of the film where you are. And I remember when I was at the cinema, I was probably 14, 15, and I thought, this is the coolest movie ever, because I saw her, taking action and RoboCop saving her and everything. Then at the second part of the movie, I wanted to set the cinema on fire. And chase, Frank Miller and ask him, why did you do this? But, we have footage. We have footage of Anne Lewis, in the third one. And I thank you for it. And I remember that was the first thing I asked you when I started talking to you. And the fact that she had like long hair makes us believe that time has passed and she's more confident. She's closer to RoboCop. I think that the moment when she asks RoboCop, this time is Robert, but I think he did a good job, underrated. And he says, Robo, you ask him, Robo, are you okay? And, he starts telling, in the car before they go to the church. I think that's where the movie should end. And and then the credits, if I do like a fan edit of RoboCop 3, like have a brother in Pittsburgh, the one that he doesn't call, you know that, Robo, are you okay? I'm fine, and call me Murphy. Then they leave and the movie ends. And you know, I'll forever thank you for that. You're too dedicated to your fans, even that you were underpaid, you have been underpaid, you have been mistreated by directors, by writers or whatever, and you pull this off, you know, to the very end. So we're very thankful for that.
Well, you know, I will say, I'm remembering now, is that I had thought about, and you know, and the relationship to Murphy, and that, as I started saying before, I did think that she was in love with him, and I tried to find, I can't even remember now, it's so long since we did the movie, moments where I could show that in some way with him, because I mean, I think obviously it's a different kind of love. It's not a romantic love, but it is that love there, that love and respect, and
it's a very spiritual connection what they have. And I wanted to work more on that on my fan fiction story. And I thank you for trying to show that, even in the very little scenes that you have, the short scenes you had together, and the very short moments in which you could do that. And one thing that I always tell my brother Roman, who I have to thank because he made this possible, he was the technical support for this interview to happen. He always says that Lois was the last woman that Alex Murphy saw or had a connection with. He said even if he was married, she was the last woman he sort of fell for. This is why Lewis has the right to be connected to RoboCop in that aspect when he wakes up as a machine, and she's the one that helps him on his quest. So one of the things that we always discuss, Roman and I, is that you're such a good actress that you look at Weller the same way you look at Burke. We don't see a difference. I mean, and Lewis is the same one. RoboCop has been changed. I mean, we know that, but the way you treat them in the films, the way you look at them, the way you show the love that Lewis felt for Murphy doesn't change, even if the actor changed. So
yes,
this is like,
well, that's my job. That's my job,
and a very good one.
So I can take one more question.
You can take more question. One more question.
One more question.
Okay. Anyone before Nancy leaves? Well, in the meantime, someone else asked a question. Well, I would like to take a bit of your time, and I would like to ask you something that I always never have time to ask you. You know that I wrote a book in which I wrote you a character that is like a follow-up of Anne Lewis, because I cannot do much with RoboCop and Lewis outside my fan fiction story, which is unlicensed. But I, as an independent writer, I can do what I want with my new characters. So RoboCop Returns was, I don't know, everything is not really moving forward. So I remember, you know, sketching this Lewis from the Future concept art character. So when I was writing the Black Butterfly, I thought, what if I use this concept art and I turn her into a different character? I named her Liz Collins, Elizabeth for Liz Blake. Collins just came to mind, and she's a sergeant. She has the highest rank. She's in charge of the police station in Hollywood. So I know that you're okay with the book. Ed is okay with the book, but I want to know what you think about me giving like continuity to Lewis in a way that I'm not infringing copyrights.
Do I think you're giving her, wait, do you think you're not infringing?
No, I'm not, because it's a different character with a different name. So what do you think? What do you think? I mean, no, but what do you think about me creating this character? Does this flatter you? Is it like a
Of course.
Okay.
Are you kidding me? Of course. It's like a love letter. It's beautiful. And I love that you know, that the small part that I played was an inspiration for your creativity. What a flattering thing for me that I could have a little part to play in your creative expression. That makes me very happy.
And she's coming back. And she's coming back.
You.
I mean, I just needed a police officer. I needed a sergeant, because even though it's a romance story, it's a strip club. It takes place in Los Angeles. You know, I needed a police precinct because it's also a thriller. I had to add some action and police and everything. I said, how about the police chief is a woman? How about if it's Nancy? So I'm not a producer, I'm not a director, but there you are. That's my tribute to you. Oh, we have a last question. Bass Ducourt again is asking if you have spoken to Paul Verhoeven recently, or how long has it been since you have spoken to
Oh my
Paul?
gosh. Well, it's well before the pandemic. I'm trying to remember. I know we exchanged emails. Gosh, definitely before the pandemic. So it's been quite some time. Yeah. Okay. I adore him, as you know. He's one in a million.
He is. One of my friends from LA went to a Q&A with Ed Neumeyer and Paul Verhoeven, and he asked him why were his female characters so tough and you know, kick-ass in his films. And he said, because women are so smart. When I was a kid in the Netherlands, I was at school, I always saw that my female friends were the ones that got better grades. So I tried to do justice to women. So this is why we love the guy, right?
Yeah. What was I going to tell you? Something just now before I go. Oh my God, I can't believe I just forgot. Well, anyway, for next time, I'll let you know, and then you can let everybody know.
Okay, to wrap it up. To wrap it up, Nancy, before we go, we would like to know, what is Nancy on during these days? I mean, what is your work schedule? What are the creative projects you have in mind, or that you're planning to do? We would like to know a bit about that, and then we'll let you go.
Okay, so right now, I am actually in the process of writing a book about my life, my work, my family. Yeah, I know it's quite an undertaking, but I'm going to just keep, you know, each day do a little something with that. And I guess with that in mind, really, I'm always open to, if something comes along that's good. But so far, not this day, not this year. So it gives me the time to work on reflection and sharing not only my work, but parts of me that people might not know, that I think might inspire. I think at the end of the day, what do we all have to offer one another is our life experience. And I've had, you know, I think I certainly had some magical ideas about certain people that I admired and thought they had an idyllic life and everything was perfect. I've had some real challenges in my life, my personal life. And, you know, I don't feel a victim of them. I do feel that they've made me who I am today, and they enabled me to grow and to, if they just made me stronger. You know, what doesn't, that's that song, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But I think people would be surprised and will be surprised to know more about my personal life, which I haven't shared very much of. Things that were out of my control, about who I married and divorced and, you know, that nonsense. That's just silly gossip. But that's not the story. The story starts when I was born. And I'll share not every moment of it, but things that I think that people might relate to and go, oh, wow, she went through that too. Wow, that's something, I didn't know that, you know, and it's kind of fun in a way. I was a little afraid because I'm not a writer, but it's fun to just tell the story. How it comes together, I don't know. I'm doing it in pieces and parts. So we'll see. And you'll all tell me how I did.
No, that was pretty wonderful. When you told me about that the other day, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be a bestseller. We're all of us, we're going to consume your book. Nancy, it has been a pleasure. Now you have things to do. You gave us almost an hour actually, you gave us an hour of your valuable time. We appreciate that. Thank you for coming to the RoboCop Enhanced Reality Page. And hopefully we'll speak soon again when the website comes live, and you let us know when you have time. It doesn't matter if the next time is just 15, 20 minutes. I hope I addressed almost all the questions, or all the questions from the fans. And well, Nancy, have a lovely evening and a lovely weekend.
Thank you, Eva, and thank you for all you do, and for your, devotion to the character in the film. And I just want to thank any and all of the fans that are there, because without you, I'm nothing. Really, it's true. I do it for you. I do it for me, but I do it because I'm. I grew up, I started as a fan myself, so I know how much it means. I really do. So anyway, love everybody, and have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And bye, Roman. I know you're not there, but I know you're there.
He's watching in the kitchen. He's watching in the kitchen. Anyway, take care, officer. Bye-bye.